Hi soulmates, welcome to class. This is the Honest Fashion Academy. So this is the design that we're going to be making in this class or in this tutorial. It's a drape gown, right? Both the skirt and the upper part. We're going to be using pattern drafting to do this. If you like to see it, please kindly stay tuned to the end of this video. So here I have my skirt pattern, the front and the back pattern. Right, we're starting with the skirt first. So from the sides, I'm going to put them together. This skirt will not have a side seam. Okay, so I'm going to be marking the hip line of the skirt, the front and the back parts of the pattern. Now at the lower part, I'm going to pencil the skirt. So what I have on the hip line, I'm going to be minusing 1.5 inches from it, from the hem area, and I'll slant it this way using a straight line because I'll match it up with the front part so the two of them stays in the same line. So whatever I remove from the back, I will also remove from the front. This is so that it can be penciled, but if you don't want it to be penciled, you can just leave it the way it is. Okay, so once you do that, we're going to cut off the excess that we now have both at the front and at the back. I hope this is making sense to you. Of course it should. So once we mark this out, or we cut this out, that is the zipper area. I added my zipper allowance at once, so I will match it up together like this, and then I'm going to use my masking tape to tape the two of them down this way. Now from the upper parts of the waistline, this is from the CB, the center back, right? I'm going to mark 0.75 in three places, 0.75 in three places. Now from the CF also, I'm going to mark 0.75 in three places. Now coming to the hip line, I'm going to make a dot and then come down by 0.75, the same thing we marked at the upper part, and another 0.75, making it into three places as well. Now I'm going to get my curve and connect from the first one to the first one below, just the way you see me placing my hand. From the first dot at the waistline, this is the back side. From the side of the CB, I'm going to curve to the first dot on the hip line. I'll do the same thing for the front part. I will then go over to the second part and connect to the second dot below the hip line. I'll do the same thing on the front part as well. Okay, so once we are done with this, which I'm also going to be doing on the third point, right? We are going to be doing it or repeating the same thing on the third dot, as you see me doing. All right, so this is going to form our slash lines for the drape so that it falls by the side. It is side drape. Now for identification purpose, I'm going to label each line back 1, back 2, back 3, the same thing F1, F2, F3, so that I will know which one is which when I cut it out. So I'll remove the masking tape now. I'll remove the masking tape. In case it's going to confuse, you can use your hand to align it again. So once I do this, I'm now going to start cutting it out, following the lines that we just marked. I'm going to start cutting it out. I'll cut the first one, I'll cut the second one, and I'll equally cut the third one. Okay, so if you cut for the front, you're also going to cut for the back. Now after this, I assume that you already know how to cut it, and so we're going to proceed to the placement on another paper, right? So this is what I have. I ruled a straight line between a paper for easy placement. So I will take the skirt, the sides that have the drape, right? So I'm going to place them together like this on a straight line. I'll use my masking tape to tape it down so that it does not move. This is side by side. The CB is facing the other side and the CF is facing the other side, but the two sides of them are what I have put together at the edge. Okay, so once this is done, I'm going to shift it by 2 inches to 2.5 inches, making sure that the both of them are aligned properly. 2 inches to 2.5 inches. We want it to be wide, and this is a miniature, so while doing yours you may choose to do like 3 inches or 3.5 inch. Okay, so the other parts that have the cutout, we are going to be placing them. I'm going to be spacing 1.5 inch. That is because I want it to fall very well, so I'll be spacing it 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch in each of them. That is for the spreading. Now this is the slash and spread method. Okay, then the part that I will have to make sure that it aligns is the upper part, while the lower part may not necessarily have to touch the line that I'm using as a guideline at the center of the paper, but I have to make sure that I have 1 inch in 1.5 inch in between. All right, so once we do this, we're now going to use the masking tape to tape it down so that I can add my seam allowances once I am done placing it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be doing at this point so that I'll place the patterns very well. You too can also do the same thing. Of course you have to, so that it comes out the way this one is actually coming out or actually came out. So I've placed all of them. You can see the way it is. I'll now use my curve to connect the lines together. The spacing I have, I will have to connect them together, and at any point where I cannot use the curve, I will have to use my hand to align it properly. Okay, so I'm also going to mark the same thing on the other side. I hope that if you've watched to this point, you just have to subscribe. Now at the lower part, I'll have to make sure that it aligns properly, and that's why I need to use this curve to make sure that everything aligns very well. So I'm going to cut the lines for the to mark the lines for the other parts as well, the same way I marked for this part, so that all of them will be on equal line, and then we cut it out. Okay, now what we'll go ahead to do is to add our seam allowance of 1/2 inch on all the sides except the CB, where we've already added our zipper allowance. The CF is going to have a cut, so we're going to add seam allowance of 1/2 inch. Okay, so when cutting, you need to put all these allowances into consideration. Know the parts that you've already added and the parts that you're about to add. Okay, so the next is to cut our fabric, and you can see how beautiful it's going. Okay, so the fabric is placed into two and cut. This is so it can go round for both the front and the back at the same time. Okay, it's not something you cut into two places, but it's also possible that you cut into two different places. You can even use two different materials, two different colors to achieve it. Okay, so the next we're going to do is to identify the marks that we have for the drape. I'm going to use a scissors to give it notches and know which one is going to overlap the other or come close to the other, so that um, while sewing we'll know how to put them together. Okay, So I'm using the scissors to make notch and know which one is going to come close and which one is not going to come close, as in how to put them together to form the normal skirt that we had before. Okay, so if you've watched to this point, this is 10 minutes already. I know you like what you're seeing. Please kindly subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification button, and watch this video to the end. Okay, you will be supporting a fellow sister and a fellow human being. All right, so I've cut on the fabric, I've made transferred the notches, right? Now the next thing we're going to do is to work on the CF and the CB. On this CB or CF, I'm going to identify the parts that I'm going to sew. Now the CF has slits at the lower part, so we're just going to join the upper part and leave the part where the slit is going to be. As for the CB, we are going to start sewing from where the zipper allowance is going to stop. Okay, remember the CF has opening at the lower part, so we sew to the point where the opening will stop, and then the CB we sew from the point where the zipper is going to stop. Okay, so after sewing it, I'm going to flip it this way so that the side actually stays at the side and the front stays at the front. You can see how beautiful it is. So beautiful. Okay, so by the time we finish making this, it's going to look wonderful on the person who is going to wear it. It doesn't matter if you have a big hip or not. Okay, so this is what we have. Now I'm trying to put them together so that now for this side, this upper part, we're going to stitch it together. This is the part that has the sides. Okay, now we're actually keeping it at the side where it should be, and we're going to stitch it together at the two sides, at the two sides, the right side and the wrong side, the right hand and the left hand side. Okay, I hope you can see the way it is. So we've stitched it together and allowing the center front to be where it should be and the center back to be where it should be. Now the part that we stitched, of course we know the part that has the sides before. Now the pleats that we made or the notches that we made, I hope you understand in this video. We are now going to put it together, one notch after another. We put it together. We made a notch with our scissors before removing the paper. So that is the part that we're actually putting together, because we're going to use we're going to join it together. Okay, mere looking at the video and the pictures, we're actually going to understand what is going on. Okay, so this is how it's supposed to be. Once you have something like this, you're then good to go to create any other design that you want to create, or just join them together the way it's supposed to be joined, and we'll come to the concluding part of this video where we'll be wearing it and see how beautiful it's going to look on us. So we've put everything together. This is our zipper allowance that is remaining at the back. Okay, now whatever it is that we pleat in front, we're equally going to repeat it at the back. So while that is done, we're now going to move over to the upper part of our gown. So this is the length of the blouse that we're making, and we're going to short it by 1 inch because of the band that is going to be added to it. Okay, depending on whatever length you have, -1 or 1.2 inches from it, depending also on the size of the bands that you're fixing. Now we're going to take our neckline depth, which is a bit lower, to about 6 to 7 inches, depending on how you want it. And then from the shoulder line, we're going to mark the neck width, which we're going to be cutting out on a V shape, just the way you see it in the picture, we're going to be cutting out in a V shape, not so curvy, not so sharp, but a bit curvy. Okay, now from that shoulder line, we're going to mark our armhole, our shoulder line, and then yeah, our sleeve length. Okay, so I got it by after marking the shoulder line, and then we mark the length of the sleeve and we bring it down by 1 inch. I hope this is understood. It is a cut together sleeve. The shoulder is not going to be cut out separately. Okay, but the sleeve length also joins it, right? So we're going to mark our sleeve opening depending on how wide you want it, like so. Now coming to the waistline, whatever it is we have on the upper part, we're going to minus like 3 inches from it to get our waistline, which is going to be having a plate. Now this is a kimono, and we're going to be joining it together like this. You can see how beautiful it is. Okay, so this is what we have for the upper part. The next we can do is to cut it out the way we've marked it. Cut it out like so, and then we use it to cut the back side. Also cut it on the fabric. Both front and back is going to be cut on fold. Okay, the labeling is for identification purpose. So this is what we have. We've cut on both the front and the back on fold, right? So all I'm going to do now is to demonstrate how to pleat this waistline and then add a band to it. This band is going to be putting together both the upper parts and the lower parts. Okay, so the band is going to be our exact measurement, no seam allowance. If you want it to be fitted, it's going to be our exact measurement. So this is how we're going to be pleating this upper part to make sure that it fits into the waistline of the gown. Since we've already pleated the skirt part, it went back to a normal measurement. So we also want to do the same thing at the upper part so that it goes down to a normal measurement. Now remember, for the band, this is what we have. It's going to be cut on fold using the actual measurements. So after putting it together, this is how it's supposed to look. We're going to put the front and the back together for the upper part, just as we have joined the skirt part, then actually sew them together, right? And then everything will have to be done. Now if you've watched to this part, please, I do not know, or I should not remind you, like you need to subscribe. Okay, I know, but then we all know what we're supposed to do. If you've watched to this end, please kindly do what you know how to do best. What you know how to do, please do it. Okay, so this is how we're going to be putting it together. Join the waist upper part to the band and then the lower part to the band, and voila, this is what we have. And I know you love it. It looks so beautiful and I love it too. In fact, I'm actually going to make it a bigger size so that I can wear it by myself. So what do you think about this video? Does it make sense? Is it what you can try? Thank you for watching.